We go. Kai versus Louise. Pride versus power, I guess, is what Shay would say it. We've got the resumes for these guys are absurd. I mean, we've been talking about it. 5 top 8s for Kai, 13 Grand Prix top 8s with 5 wins, fully 400 lifetime pro points, and yet his resume is dwarfed by Kai's.
Oh yeah, but so is everyone's.
Of course, here's the deck Louise is running. We've been talking about it's a Doomsday combo deck. So the idea is that you cast Doomsday and then you somehow get access to those 5 cards that you stacked your deck with. Normally you stack it with like an Ancestral, a Gush, a Black Lotus, and a Laboratory Maniac. So you can play Laboratory Maniac, then draw a card that you don't have. And Doomsday did you the favor of getting rid of most of your library, so it's not that hard to get rid of the rest. The deck also has a Tendrils of Agony and can just go for a Storm Kill. Gush, Fast Bond, of course, fueling it all. There's Kai's record, 4 Player of the Years, 7 Pro Tour championships, 15 Grand Prix top 8s. People are starting to get to that number, but 375 grand and 541 lifetime pro points. Truly absurd numbers. He is one of the best players to ever play the game. And his weapon this time around is the Delver deck.
It is.
Pretty similar to the one you've got, Eric?
Yeah, look, Kai's deck is very similar to the deck that I worked on for the Vintage Festival that Louise also played and ended up defeating you in a close match in the finals. Of course, Treasure Cruise getting the restriction, Dig Through Time slots in pretty nicely there. The rest of the deck is pretty much just what you come to expect. Kai didn't really make any changes from Louise's deck. You even see the 1-up repeal, the 1 Electrickery.
Yep.
Electrickery is a pretty good card in the mirror that Kai's going to be facing Rich Shea, of course, against the Doomsday deck. Doesn't exactly do anything. So, it's got its pros and cons.
Let us get down to it. So Luis's draw is a couple of Preordains and a Sapphire. He's got a Gush, but we'll have to see what happens there. All right, we'll get the hand cams. Oh, he's got the Dark Ritual too, but no black mana for it. Yeah, that Sapphire Preordain needs to hit, and he has to hope it doesn't get misstepped too.
He does have a backup Preordain.
True, it would be the second turn, but yes. And then I guess Luis's hand is currently covering up Kai's. We will get you a look at that one as soon as we can.
I'm not sure exactly where we are in this game of whether Luis has decided to keep this hand or not.
He kept it. I saw in the chat, actually. Kai was chanting 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, and Luis is like, nah, I'm keeping. Hand is great. Kai has said it smells like a no-lander. And it does. Pretty funny. All right, we're just having technical problems with our top hand cam. Producer is working on getting you that as soon as he can, and somehow it just keeps giving us more images of Luis's hand. So sorry about that. We're going to let these guys go ahead and get started. We can play Magic from Luis's perspective for a little while.
I see something.
Here we go. There's a Pyroblast up there, Probe, Strip Mine. I mean, that hand it's got decent pressure, right? But not a lot of ability to stop Louise from just going off. Wow, Louise found Underground Sea with his Preordain. Seems like exactly what he wants to find.
Yeah, I mean, Preordain is, of course, fantastic as like a mini tutor almost. I mean, Scry 2 is just so powerful. There's a reason this card is banned in Modern, and it's just extremely powerful. That looks like Black Lotus off the top.
That was indeed Black Lotus off the top of Kai's library. Not a bad top deck.
I assume he's going to lead on Probe, see what he draws off of that one. But he is not. He's going to lead on Black Lotus. Oh, I guess he has Young Pyromancer in hand, so.
Sure.
Go both ways on that one. Yeah, so he's going to have Young Pyromancer into Probe.
He likes his line, just bust the Lotus for turn 1 Young Pyro?
Yeah, I missed the Pyro in the hand originally. I'm like, oh, you just start on Probe and figure out where you go. But of course, with got to get the value.
And I guess he's got a Polluted Delta, so he can leave up Pyroblast. Is that the way you play this from Kai's side? Or do you play the Delver?
Really depends on what you draw, I feel like. Of course, if you draw like a Mox or something, things are pretty different. If you draw a Forcible, things are dramatically different. Because he also has Strip Mine in hand.
Oh, yeah, you're right. He has Strip Mine as another choice. Wow.
Okay, now that he's got multiple counters in hand,
Okay, he's doing it old school. No Underground Sea for you. Turn off your Dark Ritual. Nowhere near Gush now. And Luis needs Ponder to hit land. No land. Reshuffles, but hits the Flooded Strand. Luis Scott-Vargas, ladies and gentlemen.
His hand still doesn't feel like it does much.
Well,
It looks like he's in a lot of trouble this game against Kai's particular hand, I guess I should say.
Yeah, I mean, he really wants to Gush. Merchant Scroll. He can Merchant Scroll for Ancestral, but it takes a turn. Oh, Fast Bond off the top. That's not bad. It does mean, though, that Flooded Strand is probably getting a Tropical Island here instead of an Underground Sea.
Which is fine. Most of the land in his deck can go get the Underground Sea anyway, and he still actually needs to draw the land.
Wow, so he's going to go for Time Walk, hoping to top deck a land so that he can Fast Bond Gush. And is Kai just going to blast the Time Walk?
Interesting play by Kai. I would not do this.
Could also fluster Time Walk. I mean, it is a card. He knows Luis is digging desperately, right?
Well, yeah. But, and he will get a token out of it.
Right. He's going to Flusterstorm, not Pyroblast, I guess.
So you're effectively countering a cycle.
Right.
Which is fine. It's just,
you're countering 2 mana too, sort of. But yeah, countering cycling. Kai draws Dig Through Time with 5 cards on his yard.
Not a bad draw for Kai.
All right. He gets to, yeah, he gets to crunch over for 5. He gets to play a Delver and still leave up that Pyroblast. Wow, Luis did have the land on top of his library.
That is huge.
Yeah, and you can't Pyroblast a Fast Bond.
No, you cannot. He can stop this Gush, but Luis can replay the lands. He can Merchant Scroll, and then he can resolve an Ancestral or something like that. Or, yeah, just another Gush. That works too.
I think you Merchant Scroll for Gush in this deck. I don't think you Merchant Scroll for Ancestral.
Yeah, you're right. I agree with you. It's close when you have actually no other action. If the mana is not going to matter as much, the extra card could be big. But of course, you are just running the risk of running into like a mental misstep, which is a very real card. Although not when Fast Bond resolves, I guess. So
it's true. Mana could still be relevant here.
Oh, absolutely. The mana is certainly relevant. It's just he has no action. So
all right, Kai's thinking about it.
Card you can see is nice.
And Kai declines.
What was it for resolve? Wow.
Luis draws Gush and Doomsday. Not bad.
I believe Luis wins this game.
I think so too. I mean, Kai still has a Pyroblast to try to muck things up.
Right, but this Merchant Scroll can just get another Gush, which means Doomsday resolves, and he's going to have a Gush in hand that will resolve. That is if Luis goes for it.
Wow, Pyro's the Merchant Scroll. Which I guess fights the mana. It's better than Pyroing the Gush, since Gush makes mana.
It does.
Merchant Scroll spends it. Little does he know, though, Luis hit Gush off the Gush.
Luis has not drawn poorly in this game.
Wow. He said this hand was great. Oh, right. So he gets to cast Doomsday, Dark Ritual Doomsday. He's got the Gush. So now he gets to stack his library with the whatever 5 cards he wants, and the Gush kickstarts him. He'll get to draw the top 2, which will almost certainly include an Ancestral Recall, to draw the next 3.
He needs to make sure he doesn't mess up here, because he actually is a little tight on resources, because this Doomsday will take half of his life total, putting him down to 4 life. So he can't actually just keep playing lands off these Gushes with Fast Bond, or he will just die to Fast Bond.
Sure.
But, I mean, assuming he thinks about it, he should be more than fine.
Well, if you stack Sapphire Ancestral, and then you stack Black Lotus with whatever.
Yep.
And yeah, he just has to be able to cash 2 Gushes, which means he has to pay 2 life. Yeah, you stack Black Lotus, Gush, and whatever, Force of Will that you're not going to cast.
Yeah, as long as you're not planning on using Gitaxian Probe or something like we saw last week, he should be fine.
Right, Gush for the top 2, Ancestral for the next 3, and then you have either a Gush or a Gitaxian Probe for the lethal card draw. Now, what he might be a little bit worried here is hypothetically, Kai could still have a Force of Will in his hand. I mean, that's the only thing he has to worry about right now.
Right, I mean, he can't worry about that. Once Doomsday is resolving, the thing is, like, if he had Force of Will, he could just counter the Doomsday. He's got lethal in play. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, so Luis resolves his Doomsday. He gushes into the top 2 cards. They are Ancestral Recall and Black Lotus. Gets a Yawgmoth's Will. Okay, so that's how he's playing around any potential Force of Will shenanigans.
Sure.
Obviously, already had the Laboratory Maniac in his hand, so all he needs to do is draw one more card, and he's going to use Gitaxian Probe to do it. Wow. Kai went first turn Black Lotus, Young Pyromancer, and strip mine your only land, right? Look at your hand, see that you have no lands, strip mine it. Then next turn, Delver with Pyroblast backup. Not good enough. Not even close.
I don't know if you've looked at our chat, but Kai noted the last few draw steps seemed to work out. And I thought I was drawing almost the best card possible each turn, which is true. Kai did draw well every turn.
Yes.
I really don't agree with the Flusterstorming the time. There just aren't a lot of action spells. And what it does is it prevents Luis from drawing the land, doing everything you need to do. But if you could counter that action spell, like it's very hard to resolve 2 different gushes through Flusterstorm and Pyroblast, which, you know, I'm not sure Luis could have won. Like the clock that Kai was presenting was going to be so fast that
Interesting.
I don't know. I don't know how this plays out.
Anything happen here after sideboarding?
Let's.
All right, they're into the next game, so we won't have much time for that. We'll just get down to it.
I think that Luis probably brings in Xantid Swarm.
He has one in his open hand, and the Tropical to cast it. So,
Sure.
Yeah, Luis has gone for Xantid Swarm. Is that a 6-card hand?
No, it says 7. We're just...
Okay, there's a Treasure Cruise off screen.
Not an exciting hand, but certainly an interesting one. Very, very slow with that, and also without mana. Let's see. Kai is working with, we can see 6 of the cards. Looks like he brought in Tormod's Crypt.
Yep. And it's Treasure Cruise on the far left.
Oh, I thought, okay.
Oh, Mox
Luis
Sapphire.
has Mox Sapphire. That makes it a little bit better.
Yeah, we need Kai to pop open his graveyard and shift his hand back onto camera. There we go.
All right, so Kai's hand is really, really unexciting. He has turn 1 Pyromancer, but absolutely no disruption outside of Tormod's Crypt, which in a lot of games just doesn't do anything.
Would you mulligan that if you're Kai?
That's the question. That's I'm not sure. I think you kind of have to.
Yeah, I think I would.
Hard to say. You could say you have a Treasure Cruise and a turn 1 Pyromancer, but you're all in on that. Like, if your top card to Brainstorm, your hand's great, but if it's not, your hand's kind of garbage. Like, Young Pyromancer isn't making any tokens. Treasure Cruise is so far away from being on. But any cantrip makes it a great hand.
Into Ancestral Flusterstorm. Yeah, that's better. No red mana for the Pyroblast, but it seems like an upgrade. Luis, meanwhile, has no black mana in his draw. I mean, he's going to have to find black mana off that Brainstorm, or his tutors just don't come online.
Right.
I mean, he gets to go turn 1 Xantid Swarm and Brainstorm, but he needs to hit black mana.
Rich Shea saying in the Twitch chat that he would snap keep Kai's hand, but he hates being down a card. I agree with the mulligan.
I do too. Now, which one of these is the Xantid Swarm is the bait, right? If Kai has a misstep, fine, let him counter with the first Xantid Swarm. You need this Brainstorm to resolve. Well,
you need this Brainstorm to resolve and hit. I mean, this hand is a very real jeopardy of getting Brainstorm locked.
Do you wait? Do you wait a turn? It looks like Luis is going to wait a turn.
Well, there's no reason not to. You have the Xantid Swarm in play anyway, and seeing 1 card deeper with Brainstorm is just a good place to be. Yeah. So he's certainly going to draw his card and let his Swarm attack. Although he might respond to this Ancestral.
He did not respond to the Ancestral, and Kai found a misstep.
He did. He also did not find red mana. He found.
Why don't you just draw black mana off the top? That's how you do it if you're Luis Scott-Vargas. Yeah, who needs to Brainstorm to find it? We'll just draw it off the top, right?
Yeah, so now he can cast the Brainstorm, shuffle away this extra Xantid Swarm that he doesn't need. Kai cannot misstep because the Swarm has attacked.
Yeah, Xantid Swarm. Xantid Swarm, if you guys haven't seen this card, by the way, this is the best thing combo can do against control. When Xantid Swarm attacks, defending player can't cast spells this turn. So Kai's just done. Luis can do whatever he wants, doesn't have to worry about any interaction whatsoever coming from Kai's side.
I feel like this Brainstorm can hit a lot of things that win on the spot.
I
don't know if he's thinking about Vamp Tutoring first.
He could Vamp Tutor for Fast Bond and then Brainstorm.
Well, I think what he's looking for is something like Black Lotus.
Oh
If he
gosh.
casts Brainstorm, and he gets to shuffle away whatever he doesn't like, he can find something like these cards we're naming, where a lot of them are good, and then he can just demonic tutor for what he actually needed, which
Wait,
probably
if he demonic tutors for Black Lotus, can he just cast Doomsday and Brainstorm into the top of his deck?
yeah,
Yeah, can't you just DT for Black Lotus here? Cast the
yep,
Doomsday. This Brainstorm is now the way to draw the rest of the library. Wow.
yeah, that's right. And Kai cannot cast spells.
To be fair, it is LSV's birthday today. This is the happy birthday draw, right?
So this Brainstorm's gonna have to put 2 cards back, but I imagine that still means
It makes the Doomsday pile complicated, but it should still work, right?
I'm
You
sure
can get
Louise
the
already
Black
knows
Lotus
exactly what
back.
he needs. Yeah, I mean, with cards like Ataxian Probe that are just free drawing cards, he still gets a free gush, and he can just
Yeah,
brainstorm
Gush,
and stuff.
Ancestral, and Gitaxian Probe. That's draw 6, which is all he needs to be able to do.
Yep. He's gonna need the mana to actually cast the Maniac, so the
Black
brainstorm's
Lotus.
gonna wipe him out of mana, so he can get Lotus, Mox Jet because the Sapphire's already in play, Gush into everything else, or cast Lab Maniac, has 1 blue left and can cast Ancestral.
No problem.
Should do it.
Happy birthday, Louise Scott-Vargas. He said to me, all right, I can't do commentary, and I need to play the first match because I've got a birthday dinner scheduled. I need to go out.
Yep.
It's like, fine, we'll put you up first. You and Kai can lead us off. We'll get him back in the booth next week. Not a bad
For Luis to
birthday.
play his average 4 turns.
Wow. Every time I watch this deck, it's like, well, he needs to do this, that, and the other thing. Wait, can't he just do it all right now? Yes, he can do it all right now. Just turn 1 Xantid Swarm, turn 2 hit you, and win the game.
Yeah. Underground Sea off the top was not bad.
Right. We're all of his hands in jeopardy. He needs to brainstorm to find black mana. Or he can top deck it, use the brainstorm to draw the Doomsday cards.
Yeah, he was in very real risk of a brainstorm blocking himself, being forced to cast it. But he found exactly what he needed, the black man off the top, because it's an interesting decision, because Kai cast the Ancestral, and Luis could have responded with brainstorm to try to fight it. But
no, that's a great point.
I'll draw my black mana and just kill you.
That is a great point. Yeah, no, a lot of people would have been tempted to brainstorm there.
At least consider it. It felt like Luis allowed it instantly.
I wonder if he'd already thought about how black mana off the top just turns it all on. Because it is true with this deck that you need to resolve a Doomsday, but then you really prefer to win the turn you resolve the Doomsday rather than have to say go, and then on your next draw phase get the top card of the pile. I mean, a lot of times you can say go, and there's not a whole lot that people can do, but if you can win on the spot, that's way better.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of vintage decks that can do a lot of crazy things on the turn, and paying half of your life total certainly makes that even easier. But
right.
Yeah.
So he may have looked at the fact was that brainstorm was the only card drawing he had in his hand. So if he was going to bootstrap his way into a Doomsday pile, he needed that brainstorm. I don't know. Maybe that's a little greedy.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was more the consideration versus the fact that he did want to be 1 card deeper, knowing how much risk he was at to lock himself. Because he really doesn't need the card draw spell as much because his hand did have D-Tutor and Vamp Tutor.
Right.
So
find another one.
Yeah, those are all the card drawing you need if you draw black mana to cast them. If you don't, you're not doing anything. So.
All right. Looks like Luis has picked his pile. Certainly his Exile Zone has lots of cards in it now.
What do you think Luis's chances are of winning?
I mean, I guess they're not.
You might be thinking about that stake a little bit too much.
Yeah, I was like, did he get distracted? His only chance. Wow, he's going to say go.
We do something.
I am surprised he said go. What am I missing? Felt like he could brainstorm into. If he brainstormed.
Yeah, because if he brainstorms, he can get all the cards he needs. The problem is he has to put 2 back, meaning there's still 4 cards in his deck. So he has the mana to cast Gitaxian Probe and Ancestral, but that still leaves a card in his library. Or 0 cards in his library. He can't win on the spot.
Got it. Oh, because he needed to draw more. Yeah, okay.
That was the part we were missing. The brainstorm puts the 2 on top. So he would have too many cards in his deck to be able to draw 5 cards with the mana he had. Although, is that true? He could get Gush. Oh, could he not get Gush and Ancestral and Lotus and Mox and...
You can't draw them all off the Ancestral Recall is the problem, because you have to draw the 2 crappy cards you put back. So you can't get them fast enough. That said, you can say go with the Doomsday deck. You can say go, you can attack with Xantid Swarm a second time, draw the Ancestral off the top, and then you don't even need the Brainstorm. It's all good. Happy birthday, Louise. 2-1 with Doomsday. Kai falls to 0-2 with his Delver deck. He's in danger of falling to 0-3 in this next match.
Yeah, this is a big match for Kai. I mean, welcome to the league. I really feel like Luis. I really feel like Luis could have won the game on the spot. I'm not sure if maybe. I think what might have happened might have been he clicked on the wrong card earlier on. Like, because you pick the 5, you can't. It's not like real life where you're like going through your deck, make sure your 5 are right. Once you start clicking, those are chosen. So he might have been going for a certain path and then realizing, oh wait, I'm going to still have 4
Luis just said in the chat he messed it up.
Okay.
Yeah, Luis is in the chat now, and it's now scrolling because everyone's saying happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday. But there is, I did see go by Luis saying I messed that up. There were kills there that turn. I think there may have even been a Tendrils kill available to him. So many options with the Doomsday deck. That said, when you're playing against Delver and you have 2 Xantid Swarms, it's not that risky to say go a second time.
No, I mean, Luis.
Yeah. Wow. The deck is awesome. The player is awesome. And it's a pretty good start to the show tonight. I am going to step out, assuming Tom's around. We're going to let Tom cast around with you. And we'll be right back after this message with the second helping of Kai Budde, this time the Delver Mirror against Rich Shea.
Hey, won't get turn 1 this time. We'll see 2 turns of Kai at least.